ABC Sport continues to bring you the top international events. Today we're in Melbourne at the Victorian Hockey Centre for the 5th hockey test between Australia and England. And the England visitors who've been here this week are really finding out what a Melbourne winter is all about. We have a strong northerly wind blowing down the centre of this AstroTurf surface here at Royal Park. And it's been a very hectic schedule for them. They've played 10 matches in just 16 days in their Australian tour. Well, this test series has had the added spice in that it was Great Britain who put Australia out of the bronze medal at last year's Los Angeles Olympic Games, and the Great Britain team made up mostly of England players. But Australia has had a fair measure of revenge so far, because in the 4 test matches played to date, Australia has won them all and England hasn't managed a goal. 1-0 in the first test, and the next 3 tests have all been 2-0. So we'll find out today whether England can finally get into the Australian net, get on the board and get a test match up in this series. Hope you enjoy the action from Royal Park here today. And now we take you up to our central commentary position, and my co-commentator, former Australian international, 84 internationals for Australia, Malcolm Poole.
Thanks, Drew. And it's rather a new look Australian side that we've got for this, the 5th test in the series. The most notable selection is young Andrew Dean from the ACT, playing in his first international for Australia. Other young players include Mark Hagar, your second international, and Neil Horgood, 2 exciting young forwards from Queensland. The English side will only be boasting 2 of the players, in fact, from the team that beat Australia in Los Angeles. That's Richard Dodds, the captain, and James Duthie. Their biggest problem here has been their inability to score goals, and they're missing badly the goal-scoring ability of Sean Curley, who has an injured knee. So we're ready for a start. In the 5th test, England will be in the white, Australia in the yellow. England to start the game with a push-off from the centre of the field. It's just dodged. Long clearing ball through the back line, and Australia to have the 16-yard hit. Charlesworth. He leaves it for Trevor King, the vice-captain of Australia. Right back to another young Australian, Ken Walk. Now with Hagar. Horgood on the left wing. And harmlessly over the back line.
Walk for Australia. Even though England haven't managed a goal in the series to date, they have actually found the Australian net a couple of times, but have had them disallowed. And even though the series looks one-sided at 4-0 with England not having scored, I think the matches have been a bit closer than that now.
Well, both sides obviously, Drew, just using the test to experiment with new players. I believe Australia have played something like 21 players so far in the series.
David Bell, the Australian captain. Walk. All good. And Ian Taylor, the England goalkeeper. And now England on the break. Shawani down the middle. Gordon. And Trevor King forcing him out into the corner.
Trevor King very, very good on that reverse stick tackle, Drew. Another interesting selection for Australia is Rick Charlesworth playing inside left, because most people know Rick for his position at inside right on the field. In fact, Ian Taylor's not playing for England today, Drew. It's John Hurst in the net. Most people would remember Ian Taylor from particularly that magnificent performance he gave in the bronze medal game in Los Angeles, where he probably single-handedly was the most responsible for Australia not getting a medal.
Charlesworth. Now Batch.
Like
Free hit to England.
Third man obstruction, I think, there.
There's the youngster Dean in his first game, number 9 for Australia. Clark for England. Nick Gordon for England.
Ball must be taken, in fact, 5 yards outside the circle on the free hits now. If it occurs within that, anywhere within that radius, tends to slow the game down a bit.
Richard Dodds. Cleared by a walk for Australia. Faulkner and Craig. John Bestel for Australia. King. And free hit to Australia. 6 minutes gone and no score in the 5th test. Here's Dean, just 17 years of age, pushing into Charlesworth. Faulkner clearing.
Really is the start of a new era for Australian hockey, with a lot of players retiring, like Trevor Smith and Jim Irvine. But fairly exciting one. The Australian Institute of Sport, in fact, beat England in this particular tour that they've made by 6 goals to 1.
Grimley's pass, all good for Australia. King. Birmingham. Beautifully chopped out. Shaw, number 12. England have a very strong breeze behind them in the first half. Shawani with Bestall.
It's probably one of their most dangerous forwards, Shawani.
Good advantage, thank you, umpire.
King once more to Charlesworth. Looking for Batch. Interception by Clift. Free hit England. Gordon. Cleared by Snowden. One of only 2 Victorians in the Australian team here today. Batch and Snowden, Victoria, the current Australian champions.
First short corner for the game, and there's been a change to the short corner rule for those people that don't follow hockey particularly. Only 5 players of the defending side now allowed to be behind the goal line.
Shaw taking it, and the Australians beating him to the punch off the line. And a great clearance by Snowden. The shot by Dodds looked to be going in. And now a break for Australia. Horgood.
Offside. Brilliant clearance by Snowden there. I think he was lying on the ground when he kicked that ball, kicked the ball clear.
Trevor King, the Australian vice-captain, number 2. Horgood again. Batch couldn't quite get stick to ball.
Young Neil Horgood on the left wing already showing out for Australia.
Shaw. Now Rick Charlesworth keeps it going. Horgood out to his left, but he loses it to Shaw. Well played by Shaw, inside to Dodds and across to the left. Grimley. Cut out by Birmingham. The whistle had gone, crashed into the back of the net.
Well, England already playing with a bit more purpose than they did certainly in yesterday's game, and obviously very, very keen to put some goals in the net. To their credit, they've definitely shown more of a willingness to throw people up front and go forward, known traditionally for their very, very tight defensive marking.
Best all. King. King couldn't get through Shaw. He's held up the Australians a few times. Now Faulkner. Duffy. And now David Bell. And a great centering ball there by Dean. And a corner to be taken by the youngster, number 9 for Australia, Andrew Dean. Cut out by Duffy. Bell. Craig for England. It's blustery conditions here in Melbourne for this 5th Test match. What a program it's been for the Englishmen. Their 10th match in 16 days. King not handling. Clark, number 6 for England. And doing well is Horgood again.
Unlucky there.
Birmingham. And Australia caught offside. David Craig. Gordon taking it all the way. King going with him. Great defence by Trevor King. Now Bestall. $14 minutes gone in the first half. No score. Walk for Australia. Now Batch. But out near halfway. Duthie for England. Bell, the Australian captain, to Birmingham. Batch. He's got Charlesworth left. Shaw with him. Oh, cut out beautifully by Clift.
Looked like an obstruction there. Umpire Swallow from England didn't agree and let it play on.
England on their counter-attack. Grimley. Free hit to Grimley. Got a bit of space out here on the right. Shaw. Comes to Charlesworth. Once again, Horgood. Australia in numbers in the middle. But the cross couldn't be trapped by Hager. Dodds for England. And it goes off Walk. Birmingham to Charlesworth. Charlesworth went without his stick. Bell. Some real hockey enthusiasts here today in the ski gear. Bell across to Bestall. Charlesworth. Taken out by Gordon. Or it was Clark. Now Birmingham.
I think one of the biggest problems both sides have at the moment, Drew, is just getting to know each other's play, because many occasions they wouldn't have played together at all.
But from Australia's point of view, a great thing to know that, well, when the Pearces and the Pools go out of the game, there's always youngsters coming on.
Sure, I think a lot of people worry what happens when we lose a player like Charlesworth and so on, but when you see the wealth of talent we've got in the country, as I said, with the Institute beating England 6-1, it certainly makes for a healthy future.
Here's Dean going down the right wing. And the crowd calling for interference there, but not getting it. Duthie. Gordon for England. Well, he's gone right through them, Nick Gordon. Oh, but beautifully played by Walk.
He's doing quite well, Gordon, on the right wing for England.
Faulkner to Shaw. And Dodds.
Good ball.
Shaw again. Shawani. Just missed.
Could have done better with that. I think it just bounced at the wrong time for him. Shawani, more a name that you'd be expecting to hear in a Pakistan side, I think, rather than England, but
What effect does a strong wind have on a hockey ball? Is it much advantage to run with a wind?
oh, I wouldn't think a lot, Drew. I think just perhaps psychological as much as anything. Obviously, nowhere near the effect that it would have in Australian rules or even soccer.
Shawani asking for a decision from the Australian umpire Don Pryor, but not getting it. Cut out by Faulkner.
Tackled by Bestel.
Sure, he's been prominent in a lot of things for England.
Well, that's a great
beautiful.
ball.
Dodds. And in. And Dodds scores the first goal in the series for England after 20 minutes of the first half.
Beautiful ball. I think Snowden will be a bit disappointed that he didn't stop that. Seemed to kick across the line of the shot.
Here's Shaw, number 12. This is looking from behind the action and getting past Charlesworth, and Dodds, a beautiful shot, beating Neil Snowden, the Australian keeper.
You'd have to say there, Drew, I think perhaps put that down to as much as anything a goalkeeper error, because Snowden really did have that angle covered.
Batch for Australia. Birmingham. Horgood. And free hit to Australia. So for the first time in the series, Australia find themselves behind. They haven't conceded a goal in the first 4 test matches up until this one.
It's a stick obstruction, yeah. England obviously playing with a lot more endeavour and very, very keen to prove a point, I think.
Birmingham to Charlesworth. Free hit to England. Dean. Good through ball to Batch. Can he reach it? No.
Yeah. Young Andrew Dean on the right wing for Australia, showing a few signs of nerves.
Dodds, the goal scorer. Here's Shaw, who set it up for him. But it's a free hit to Australia. Vestal. Faulkner. King across to Bell. King again, but Shawani robs him. And Grimley couldn't control it. Bell. Birmingham to walk.
English team giving the Australians very, very little time to settle midfield and making tackles quickly.
And Duthie going right through. Fouled. Bit of a chance here again for England. Dodds, the goal scorer. But best all clears for Australia. Out to Horgood. Neil Horgood.
Well played.
And number 11, Hager.
He's given a short corner for a deliberate breach outside the circle, but inside the 25. Maybe a touch unlucky there. I thought that perhaps the England players just couldn't get the sticks out of the way, and for my money, more just a tangle of sticks rather than a deliberate stick obstruction. Nevertheless, the first short corner of the day for Australia. ball must be stopped dead before any shot at goal is taken.
And shot wide by Horgood.
Obviously a set play there, Drew. Most of the keepers these days will lie flat across the surface. And that was why Bestall, in fact, didn't miss-hit that. He just dummied it to the player on the left.
And to further complicate matters now, after a strong wind has been blowing all day, we now have a few spots of rain. Up go the umbrellas. I wonder how long they'll last before they blow inside out. And right at this moment, Australia not quite blowing inside out, but they're down 1-0 to England with 11.5 minutes remaining in the first half. Shaw again.
He's done well, Shaw.
He's been in everything. Shaw, number 12 for England, who's played only one international prior to coming here. One for England, but strangely 8 for Great Britain. 23 years of age. Bell down the right. And now quickly taken by Walk. Charlesworth. And the England defence, Clark and Faulkner combining. Faulkner clearing out to the left.
Good screens.
Bestall.
That's a great tackle by Batch.
Birmingham takes advantage. Out wide to Horgood. England leading Australia 1-0 with less than 10 minutes remaining in the first half. Birmingham winning the free hit for Australia. All good, leaves it for King. Dean. But cleared away in defence by David Craig of England. Bell, the Australian captain. Good running by Charlesworth. Bell once more. Ball push into Australia. Batch is there with Clift. Now, what can the Australians work from here? Batch. Cleared off the line by Hurst. Australia bottled up in the right corner. Taken by Bell to Batch.
Well played, Colin Batch. Obviously worked for that short corner. The game doesn't rely on short corners anywhere near as much as it did a few years ago when the hand stop was in. Hand stop has been outlawed, and it must be a stick stop.
Birmingham with the trap. Bestall shot and cleared off the line by Dodds.
Great save, but that was deflected up into Dodds, off an England stick.
So Dodds has been the goal scorer for England and also a goal saver. Birmingham putting on the pressure. Quickly taken by Charlesworth. Back to Birmingham. But Grimley, Shawani inside. Grimley outnumbered. Batch puts it through. Chance here for Australia. Hager. Dean's there, but couldn't quite get there. He was cut off by Craig.
Fairly timely intersection by David Craig too.
Clift. Dodds.
Good build up.
Shaw. Shawani's there.
Australia very, very lucky not to give away an obstruction again.
Bestall. Charlesworth. Horgood. Clark's had a lot of trouble with Horgood.
Short corner. Well played, Horgood.
And the two number 7s having a bit of a disagreement, Faulkner and Charlesworth. Rick Charlesworth was sent off in one of the earlier test matches in the series in Hobart.
As David Faulkner in your screen, I believe, is leaving the tour early to go back to England to get married.
Now, third short corner for Australia. We've seen a bit of variety so far in the first two. Best ball this time.
Off the line once again by England. Dodds again.
Jeff,
Richard Dodds at both ends of the field. Been starring for England.
Dodds, of course, one of the goal scorers in Los Angeles to give England, or Great Britain it was, that bronze medal.
Switch in direction by Bestall. Duthie.
Good umpiring.
Past Shaw. Cleared by King to Charlesworth. All good again.
Good turn.
Oh, he's turning Clark inside out. Beautiful, but right across the face of goal. Nobody there to capitalise.
He really is an exciting young prospect, Neil Horgood. He's already scored one goal in this series for Australia.
Clear by Craig. Yes, it really is a different calling an Australian team with some of the names like Dean and Horgood and so on. Some of the veterans who have been in this Test series are not playing today. Bell and Charlesworth, the two real veterans of the Australian team out there.
Okay.
Another great tackle on the reverse by Trevor King. The Australians resting Walsh today, Hazelhurst, Craig Davies.
Best all for Australia. It's better to get out of there. Under 3 minutes remaining in the first half. England leading 1-0. The goal by Dodds after 20 minutes. Nick Clark. And he's had a real problem with Horgood. And Horgood again for Australia. Inside the circle, just out now. Charlesworth appealing for a free, but not given. Shawani. Shaw. Australians quickly back there in defence, and Shaw's pass meant for Gordon went behind him and out. Clark. Oops. Trouble here.
Tackle by Bestel. Redeemed himself after mistrapping that overhead ball.
Faulkner. Gordon. Minute and a half remaining in the first half. Australian umpire Don Pryor doing only his second international. He did Australia and New Zealand during the Australia Games earlier this year. England putting on pressure. Just under a minute remaining in the half. A chance to add to their one-goal lead. Australia to clear. Good. Batch. And a chance for Australia. 30 seconds left in the first half. Wide to Hallgood. Batch was there. But the free to England. Quickly taken by Craig. Shawani with Walk. Oh, Shawani. Clift.
A little bit of indecision in the defence there in Australia. Inexperience as much as anything, probably.
There's the siren for half-time here at the Victorian Hockey Centre at Royal Park in Melbourne. Australia 0, England 1 after the first half. The goal coming from Richard Dodds at the 20-minute mark.
There's the coach there, David Whittaker, in the glasses, and former England captain Norman Hughes.
And the Australians wouldn't be happy to sit on a 4-0 lead in the series and go a bit easy, would they? They're very proud of their international record.
Certainly, and each player out there obviously is probably playing for his own place in the team. There's a lot of competition amongst the young players, so no, they'd be very, very keen to do well and to win each game.
Well, let's take a look at the first half goal again. Number 12 for England has proved a real problem. John Shaw pushing out wide and slipping away from Charlesworth as Dodds, and Richard Dodds from just inside the circle across the face of goal. In fact, he snuck it in on the narrow side, beating the goalkeeper Snowden, and there's the only goal of the match to date. Now, Dodds scored the goal for England, but he was also great off the line, and here was a shot right on the line, and there he is, Richard Dodds. That was hammering in at a million miles an hour.
Brilliant save. I think that was the one that was just deflected up towards Dodds, off an England stick, in fact. That was a brilliant save.
The traditional watering of the AstroTurf surface.
Yeah, it's mainly to just get the ball to travel a little bit more fluently on the surface, because if it's dry, the ball does tend to stick on the surface. I know people have thought in the past that it was done to keep the surface cool, but that's not really the case. It's just to make the ball travel more smoothly.
This series for the Australians against England, much more needed international competition after the great disappointment of the Los Angeles Olympics, when Australia went there as hot favourites and came away without a medal. Well, the coach of the Australian team is Richard Agus, and Richard, I suppose we have to ask, what was the disappointment like after the Olympics?
Well, it's a long time ago now. It's almost a year, and of course probably it'll be in my mind for the rest of my life, and it's very hard to fathom why we didn't come away with a medal, because at one stage during the Olympics we were a very short price favourite, and when it came to the semi-final and the play-off for the bronze medal, we just faltered at those particular hurdles, and that's a long way gone now, and we have to rebuild.
It seems that Australia can win just about all the tournaments apart from the Olympics and the really big ones. Just every now and again we falter.
Yes, that's right, and that's something that we have to do better in the future. We've never won a World Cup, and we've never won an Olympic Games gold medal, and we've won everything else that's moved and we've played in, and now we have to get better at doing that.
So how important for you has this series been?
Well, it's very important from several points of view. The first one is that it gave us an opportunity to have a squad of 22 players, and to this day we've played 21 of those players, and probably next weekend in Perth we'll play the 22nd one, so that'll be a worthwhile exercise. It also means that we've been able to, along with the Australian selectors, reassess every player that we're looking at in terms of the Champions Trophy in Perth in November. So from those 2 points of view, and of course the results have been speak for themselves.
So a prediction for the Champions Trophy, are we back on schedule to be top seeds and win it?
Well, we've run it 2 years in a row, and we're on a hat-trick, and in Perth in front of our own crowd, we're looking forward to winning that for the third time, yes. I think we've got the players to do it, but once again it's a matter, like all sport, that anything can happen on any particular day, and while you build yourself up and train very hard, so do all the other teams. So you've got to be able to produce the performance in over 5 or 6 days in Perth in November.
And we're still producing the youngsters to come up. I mean, we've got so many players who've played 150 or more internationals, but there is still the pressure from the younger blokes.
Well, certainly Andrew Dean is playing, as you can see, is playing his first game today for Australia, and he's 17 years of age. And we've got another boy who's also playing today, Neil Horgood, and he's played his third. At the other end of the scale, you've got Charlesworth, who's played nearly 190. Peter Hazelhurst will play his 100th next week in Perth. So we've got a very wide spread of ability. And the Australian Institute of Sport, of which I'm also the head coach and am heavily involved there, are producing some fine young players. So it's all looking very bright for the future.
Good on you. Thanks for talking to us. Richard Agus, the coach of the Australian hockey team.
Thanks.
So Australia building for the future, but right at the moment, the policy of playing younger players might cost Australia an international win. England with a 1-0 lead at half-time as we get underway for the second half. Batch.
Good play.
And the youngster, Dean, racing down the right-hand side, forcing a corner to be taken by Colin Batch.
Traditionally 1-0 wouldn't be a lot on AstroTurf. It has a reputation of a lot of goals, but this series has been remarkable, in fact, for the lack of goals. 2 is the most that either side have scored in a game.
Yes, a bit different from the curtain raiser we saw here today when South Australia played Victoria, the 2 full-strength state sides, and it was 4-all.
Oh, great ball.
Oh, well cut out by Craig. Quickly taken by Bell. Hager. Faulkner. Hager again. Grimley. Shaw back to Grimley and out wide. This looks good. Gordon. Walk to Hager.
So Hagar's gone to right wing, and Andrew Dean to centre forward for Australia.
And a corner for the Australians.
Faulkner doing well in defence for England.
Shaw happy to see it out. Quickly back into play and right across the face of goal. David Craig. Birmingham.
Another good tackle by Faulkner.
Dodds across to Clift. Grimley. Grimley still going. And best all for Australia. Walk to Batch.
Batch very quiet in the first half. I think Australia need to see a bit more from Batch, one of the most experienced players in the Australian side. He's certainly been a bit more prominent in this half already.
Charlesworth down the right. Out to Bell.
Right, I think indicating there a stick check by young Andrew Dean. He's gone back to the right wing.
Great play, Clift to Shaw. Gordon out to the right, but that's best all for Australia. More rain starting to sweep down this AstroTurf field. 4.5 minutes gone in the second half. England leading 1-0. Corner for England. Gordon. Gordon again. King. Hager, beautiful ball through. Charlesworth taking it right to the line. And then centering. Faulkner cutting out.
Well played by Shaw.
Clift.
That's a good
Beats
ball.
Bell. Chance for Grimley. But David Bell, the Australian captain, used his pace beautifully to get back.
Could have been a free hit to Bell there.
Still a chance for England. Clift. Batch clearing. Walk. And out short of halfway. The rain getting heavier now and the wind really swirling around. Here's Gordon for England. But the free goes to Australia. Quickly taken by Walk to Bell. Now Batch. Birmingham to Charlesworth. And they've turned the lights on here. It's pretty dark, even though it's just mid-afternoon. Number 11, Clift. Here's Dodds, the goal scorer. Well, they're playing well, England, and Australia with the job ahead of them.
Australia, it seems, would need the flair maybe up front of a player like Hazelhurst. Really not getting a lot together at all. Another one that's done well for England is Clift, number 11, inside left for England.
King back to Bestall. Birmingham.
Made.
Grimley. Bold walkover. Birmingham to Charlesworth. Faulkner for England. Shawani. Appealing for the free and getting it.
Quite sure what that was for. I thought he kicked it. Maybe it was for a stick obstruction.
Best all. Birmingham.
Australians at the moment seem to have lost their sense of direction in midfield and must try and get on top there through the inside forwards and centre half.
David Faulkner for England.
Good ball.
Gordon. Best all to Charlesworth. And back to Birmingham. Now Dean. The youngster, 17 years of age. And that's his best bit of play for the day.
On a free hit, I think it came off an England foot. Right back out on the right-hand side.
Dodds getting it right up the other end. Conditions most unpleasant for players and spectators for the second half. Birmingham for Australia. No, leaving it for Bestall. Out on halfway. Great fans of hockey, those. Shawani wanting to take it quickly. And now leaving it for Clark. Takes it to the line. And a corner for England.
Be surprised to see Australia make a substitution if the score remains as it does for another few minutes.
King, Charlesworth. Clark for England. England leading 1-0, 11 minutes into the second half. Bestall to take it.
All the Australian forwards marked very, very closely now by England. They can sense that maybe they can get their first win of the series here.
The brightness on the field is deceptive because the lights are on here. It's very dark considering it's mid-afternoon or about 20 past 4 in the afternoon. And really, the way things are looking, I wouldn't be surprised if it does snow. City of Melbourne in the background. Shawani with walk.
Interesting play back
Snowden,
to the
but he
keeper.
didn't clear. And now a big chance for England. Grimley. Snowden, Shawani.
Lucky.
Colin Batch. And missed by Horgood.
His first miss for the day. They haven't used Horgood much this half, and was probably their best avenue of attack in the first half.
Charlesworth with a chance. Gordon desperately trying to get back and keep that in. Trevor King, the Australian vice-captain. Trapped by Clark. Faulkner. Shaw. He's done some classy things.
Always looked dangerous. Australians making a lot of errors today, missed-passing and missed-trapping.
Bell to Charlesworth.
Just a hint of frustration creeping into the Australians' game at the moment.
Shaw lost it to Bestall. Quickly to Batch. Through to Charlesworth. Bit of a chance for Australia. Oh, and Hager.
Probably their best build-up for quite a while.
Shawani, but Snowden will beat him to it. Gordon. Shawani leaves it for Shaw. Oh, they went behind Shawani. Birmingham. Oh, a bit of space out here for Clift. Bell with him. Dodds.
Good corner.
Well played, lads.
First short corner of the second half.
Australian team seem to be very, very tentative in defence. Normally they would have cleared that ball quite comfortably, but just making a few errors now.
Shaw taking it. And Dodds poised. Great save by Snowden. And Australia could turn defence into attack. But look at the running of Gordon.
I think Horgan might have done so. No, he seems all right. And as I said, Drew, Australia in fact making 2 substitutions. Graham Reid coming on, and Grant Mitten, and off I think it was Dean and Hager. That's an indication that it's not just a social fixture. Australia in fact do want to win this game. Played by Dodds, he's done well again.
Shawani for England. In defence by the Australians. And just on Reid.
Pass the ball, lads.
Duthie, number 8 for England. Shaw, a deflection, bit unintentional. Midway through the second half, England leading Australia 1-0 in the 5th Hockey International in Melbourne.
Well played, Robert.
There's no doubt, Drew, England have got their tails up at the moment, and Australia finding it very, very difficult to get away through up front.
Another scoring opportunity for England. Just outside the circle, Duthie. Charlesworth, beautiful. Faulkner for England.
Well played, David.
It's been a tower of strength for them.
Walk to Bell. Birmingham back to Bell. But Duthie intercepting.
Well played, Duthie.
Brimley looking for some movement upfield. King.
Oh, that's a magnificent
Fantastic
ball.
ball that. Mitten.
Once again, it's Faulkner. Must be well in the running for the Man of the Match award, I would think.
.5 minutes remaining in the game. And Australia, who lead the series 4-0, are trailing 1-0 in the 5th. Mitten put on the pressure, comes back to Mitten. Birmingham inside the circle.
Off the foot. It's a good ball too.
Shawani going upfield, but Shawani's pass disappointing. Bell intercepting. Birmingham. Charlesworth. Almost 200 internationals for Australia. Rick Charlesworth, Member of Parliament. Oh, Batch.
A bit unlucky there. It looked as if it were lifted into him, but probably the benefit of the doubt. Looks like another substitution. Ian Jennings coming on for England, who in fact fought in the Falklands War for England against Argentina. I believe was wounded in action, in fact.
Dodds. There he is, Ian Jennings, number 16 for England. And that pass too wide for Graham Reid, one of Australia's 2 substitutes.
If you have a close look at Ian Jennings, you might understand why the Argentinian surrendered. He's built like a tank.
Well, the Australians won't want to surrender to him today, otherwise they've got no chance of getting back into it. Shawani. Walk. Duthie.
Duthie has played in a variety of positions for England. Started as a fullback, played left wing in the Olympics, and now as a left halfback.
Charlesworth down the middle.
He's lifted his work rate.
Reid. Taken away by Clift. Now Shaw. Dodds, the goal scorer for England. Under 14 minutes left for Australia to get back into it. Dodds. Clever skills. And pushed out wide by Jennings. Shawani. Great play in defence by the Australians. Reid pushing back out to Bell, but he couldn't quite reach it at full stretch. And there's Jennings, the Falklands veteran, slipping over. Charlesworth, through ball, trying to find Mitten. Duthie for England.
Gonna hold up, Ian.
And here's Jennings. Charging at Snowden. Craig. Dodds. Gordon. King with him.
Oh, great tackle again by King.
But comes back to Gordon. Pretty quick, this boy. Through Jennings it went, a lunge for the ball. Shawani, but cleared by the Australians.
Penalty stroke. I think the umpires ruled there that that was a stick obstruction on one of the English players right in front of the net. And any unintentional breach that he thinks will lead to a probable goal. It's like Neil Snowden down, and the umpire now calling for some assistance for Snowden.
And you heard the calls from the England bench. Well played, Imran Shawani, number 15, who won the penalty and now has a chance to capitalise. He'll take it. Well, both owner and dog well rugged up. But Neil Snowden, the Victorian goalkeeper, in a bit of strife before he attempts to save this penalty stroke. The clock has stopped at 12 minutes and 4 seconds remaining in the match. And if Shawani can score from the spot, it'll be England 2, Australia 0.
Should really do. 7 yards out, a one-on-one situation.
When England last toured Australia, here in 1981, they played 5 test matches that time and they won the series 2-1 with 2 draws. Well, they can't win this series. They're already down 4 tests to 0 with just this one and a match in Perth to go. Imran Shawani of England from the spot against Neil Snowden to put England up 2-0. Had him going the wrong way. Well, this will really test Australia's capabilities. Can they manage a draw from here? And you can see Snowden going to the right, Shawani went the other way and straight into the net. Australia on their counter-attack.
Be very, very hard for Australia now. I think England would probably be happy with that scoreline, and I think you'll find they'll close it up. Or tackled by Duthie.
Number 5, David Craig. Clift. Oh, Jennings had a bit of a chance there.
Drew, when you see the England team today, you wonder how they've lost 4 in a row. Obviously, the Australians have changed the side about a lot, but in fact, so have England.
Shawani, who scored the penalty. Now the Australian skipper, Bell.
Probably the best player for Australia today. Won the Man of the Match award in the 4th Test, David Bell.
This will probably sound a bit unkind to English weather, but maybe the conditions favour the visitors more than the locals, because the Australian team has plenty of West Australians and Queenslanders. They mightn't like this too much.
Oh,
Charlesworth. Chance for Australia. Charlesworth right to the line and then hooking back. Oh, chance missed by Reid.
Finally, dangerous play by Mitten, but that was Australia's best chance of the match, and another good run by Rick Charlesworth. say, Drew, that maybe Australia could have done with the flair of Peter Hazelhurst in this game. Rick Charlesworth has worked particularly hard in this second half, but may be better suited to right inside and Peter Hazelhurst at left inside. Colin Batch, normally a good player, hasn't been particularly prominent in today's game.
Injury here to James Duthie. 49 internationals for England and 36 for Great Britain.
Plays for the very famous Southgate Club in London, as do quite a number of other the England players.
Gordon on the right. Shaw.
Like an obstruction, lucky to get away with that, Charlesworth. Wants to get on with it pretty quickly.
And he's lost his headband as he passes a through ball right across to Mitten.
Lifting the ball, so Australia get the hit from the side.
Players and spectators getting a real drenching now. Charlesworth.
Getting it tangled up in his feet. Oh, that's a good ball by Shawani.
Shaw. Gordon. Shawani and Jennings down the middle. Well played by King. Back to Shaw.
Good umpiring to let the advantage go.
Shaw once more. Through ball for Jennings. Cut out by Walk. Reed, the sub.
It's a good ball.
Up to Mitten.
Sure, the England players won't mind how much it rains at the moment.
I mentioned players and spectators, also camera crew getting a real drowning. Shawani. Now England have 5 up in the front half. But
Duthie, I think, injured again.
yes, he may have to go off eventually.
Took a nasty blow on the finger yesterday too, so it looks like a leg this time.
Gee, and when you play, he mightn't have played them all, but the team has played 10 matches in 16 days. Not much time to get over injuries.
No, not at all. In fact, I believe Sean Curley, who did come out to Australia on doctor's advice that he would be fit to play, in fact may have to go back prematurely because his knee is not getting any better.
Gives you an idea just how heavy the rain has been for about the last half an hour. We've got 7.5 minutes left in the match. England lead the 5th Test match 2-0, and James Duthie is forced to leave the field.
Good performance by Duthie today.
2-0 England, 7:36 left on the clock. Birmingham. Through for Reed. The Australians looking a bit desperate now. Reed. Faulkner well played.
Impressed with his game today.
England have all their team back in the defensive half now. Gordon. And he wanted to play on quickly. Shaw takes it quickly. Back to Gordon. free to England. And a chance for them to build on this lead. Shaw.
Tackle by Charlesworth, working hard.
Oh, beautiful. Delightful little deflection and taking it down the middle. Mitten. Goalkeeper comes at him. Mitten shoots and just misses.
Just shows how explosive Grant Mitten is when he gets a run on. Enormous pace. Just flipped that by and left them for dead.
Gordon leaving the right-hand side and going straight up the middle. And support by Jennings, but he couldn't quite get it to him. Birmingham now for Australia. Australia throwing everything at attack. Charlesworth is there. And charging at it with him, Horgood, who's been pretty quiet in the second half after a good first half. It's a good ball. Batch. Oh, and the shot over the bar by Reid.
I think it was Reid. Well played by Colin Batch, should have been in.
So in the space of a minute, both the substitutes for Australia had a shot on goal and both missed.
Richard Agus ruining that shot. Norman Hughes, former captain of England.
Hughes came on as substitute for Duthie. Under 5 minutes left. England leading 2-0. Well, they can frustrate the Australians now, and there'll be precious little Australia can do to even get two to force a draw. Although they have had 2 chances in the last 2 or 3 minutes. And if they're throwing everything at attack, maybe Australia can break through. Bell, good through ball to Reid. Clift. Craig for England to Dodds, who scored their first goal. Shawani, who scored their second. Now Clift. Back to Shawani, who's slipped. AstroTurf pretty wet now. Watered at half-time and pelted on during the second half.
Desperate tackle by Hughes on Mitten there.
All good. All players in one half of the ground, apart from Snowden. Shawani, a bit of a break. But well done by Walk. Under 3 minutes remaining, 2-0 England. Clift.
Taken back 5 yards outside the circle. We'll be happy to hold it down in that corner, I would think.
Clift again. Desperate clearance by Snowden. Mitten to Charlesworth. Horgood with a break.
It's a great ball by Charlesworth.
Oh, and the ball dribbles across the face of goal. John Hurst, the goalkeeper, came straight at Horgood. Failed to stop the ball. Stop it cleanly, but it didn't go in for Australia.
It's an England hit from the side too, off an Australian stick.
Shawani's there. He's got Shaw inside. Jennings as well. This is Shaw. A lot of the Australians back in defence. Well played, Clift. Shawani inside the circle. Cleared by Bestall. Reed, long ball. Trapped by Batch, but England in possession again. Faulkner. Just over a minute left. And England will definitely now win the 5th Test match. Charlesworth. Dodds. And the more it's out, the more England will like it. Walk.
It's a bad ball.
Shawani. Jennings with him, and Gordon. Jennings, open shot. A deflection by Snowden, keeps it out.
Came from a bad clearance by Australia.
"30 seconds left in the Test match. Bell to Charlesworth. And England frustrating the Australians as the clock ticks away. 10 seconds remaining. Can Australia get a compromise here right towards the end? Mitten. England win the 5th Test match, 2-0, a goal in each half. And Australia defeated for the first time in this series. England level the series, or not level the series, but narrow the score to 4-1 with 1 Test match remaining. Goal scorers for England were Dodds at the 20-minute mark in the first half. And then in the second half, Shawani from the penalty spot made it 2-0. And now let's have a look at the lead up to England's second goal. It came 23 minutes into the second half. Penalty awarded. There was Gordon from the right side across the face of goal.
Oh yes, the penalty stroke was given there obviously for Snowden, in fact palming the ball away with his hand. Haven't been able to see that before.
Well, it's still raining over the city of Melbourne, but the sun is shining here. In fact, it's still raining here as well, and a big rainbow over Melbourne as a weak winter sun tries to break through and trying to lighten up this bleak day in Melbourne. And it has been a bit of a bleak day for Australia in hockey terms. England winning the 5th Test match, 2-0 with just 1 Test remaining in the series as they go to sunny Perth. So on behalf of Malcolm Poole, this is Drew Morphett in Melbourne for ABC Sport.